Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. So before we start today's video, I just wanted to spend a few minutes in remembrance of Mel Thompson. So I imagine most of you have heard by this point. So Mel Thompson, who is a really significant content creator in the beauty space, passed away suddenly last weekend. And it's something that has really taken folks by shock and surprise, given that she was only 35 years old. And it's really a tragedy. I can't imagine what her family, her husband, her 4 children, her dog are going through, and also all of her friends. And I know a lot of subscribers as well are really mourning her death. And for me, I did not know Mel personally. I am pretty new to the YouTube beauty world, but I am someone who enjoyed her content, and it was really shocking to me. And I have found that ever since her passing, she and her family have frequently been on my mind, and I have been revisiting a number of her videos. And so even though I didn't know her personally, it did feel really weird, coming back onto YouTube and, just filming a monthly favorites as if nothing has happened, because she was such a big figure in this space. And I personally have definitely benefited a lot from her videos. I've always really admired her videos and learned a lot from her content. In fact, today's eyeshadow look is my small tribute to what I've learned from her. The Pat McGrath Bronze Seduction palette was a palette that I always kind of struggled with because of the deeper mattes in that palette. There really isn't a light transition shade. And one of you actually suggested that I check out Mel's video about tips of blending out Pat McGrath shadows. And that video was extremely helpful for me. She was just such a talented makeup artist and content creator. And she taught folks like myself who are not at all trained makeup artists just so many skills and techniques. And also from what I've seen in her more personal videos and also in some of the memories that folks who knew her personally have shared, she seemed just like such an incredible person who was so kind, always helped her friends and family out. And so it's a huge loss both to the beauty community and to those who knew Mel personally. If you are interested, you should definitely check out some of the videos from her friends. I think Terra did a really beautiful video talking about their friendship. This is the first time that I've watched someone on YouTube and then have them pass away. And it's a really weird mourning process because it's someone you didn't know personally, and it's also not someone who's a public figure that everybody knows. I imagine this might be the case for some of you as well, but part of why I became interested in the beauty YouTube community is because I don't actually know folks in everyday life who are really interested in beauty and makeup, and so I started both watching a lot of videos and now, of course, creating videos myself to connect with folks who, like me, are really interested in these sorts of products. And so it's definitely a weird kind of isolating feeling because I don't really know folks in everyday life who knew Mel or who watched her videos. And I don't even know whether to really characterize my feelings as mourning because that sounds so intense. And obviously I'm not someone who knew her personally and was not directly affected in that way. It's a very strange feeling, but I know a lot of you are probably also like me in terms of being folks who just watched her content but didn't really know her but yet still feel very personally affected. So I just wanted to share that and share that my thoughts are with her family, her friends, and also all of the fans who really loved her. So it feels really weird to transition from this to now, talking about makeup products. I actually am filming this at the end of the whole video. I didn't think I could really talk about makeup after talking about this. So I'm sorry if the transition is very weird. I tried to be pretty upbeat for the makeup review portion, but sorry if there's an awkward transition right now. So we have a ton of products to run through today, so let's go ahead and start with eyeshadow. So first off, I wanted to talk about a product that I haven't yet featured on my channel, but I've actually been using a decent amount this past month. So this is the Athr Beauty Moonlight Crystal Palette. It comes in this really pretty sustainable packaging. So the packaging is cardboard, but it still manages to look pretty luxe. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's actually slightly raised. And then on the inside, they omitted the mirror for sustainability purposes. So if you guys aren't familiar with Athr Beauty, they are a clean beauty brand and definitely my favorite brand for clean eyeshadows. Their formula is extremely creamy and silky on the skin, so the mattes are really easy to blend out, and the shimmers have a beautiful emollient texture to them. So you won't find any super sparkly shades in their line, but they're perfect if you want a look where the textures are really flattering and really easy to work with. And they have a bunch of different color stories in their line. This is the most recent palette they released, and I got this in an Ipsy Glam Bag X. I really enjoyed using this palette to create some really colorful, kind of almost pastel springtime inspired looks, and also some more intergalactic purple, pink, and blue inspired looks. Let me know if you guys would be interested in a dedicated video to this palette, because I can definitely create a lot of really fun looks with this. I feel like Athr Beauty is kind of a brand that's a little bit under the radar, so I don't hear a ton of people talking about them. But if you're into clean beauty but still want to play around with a lot of fun eyeshadows, then Athr Beauty is a great brand to check out. Also, this lightweight packaging, in addition to being sustainable, is really perfect for traveling. I took this on a recent trip I went on, and basically I think if you have this palette plus a pretty neutral everyday eyeshadow palette, you can basically create any sort of looks that you want, and this is just so lightweight, really easy to store in a bag, and you don't have to worry about it accidentally cracking or breaking. Next up, while we're talking about smaller indie brands, there's also these shades that I picked up from Terra. So I won't say a lot about these in today's video because I just released a video dedicated to these 4 shades and my first impressions of the brand. Long story short though, I really love the quality of their shadows, and in particular, the Moontide shade, which is in their Cosmic Chameleon formula, is just so beautiful. Possibly the most beautiful shade in my collection right now. And just because I can't resist, here is a swatch of that shade. Isn't this just the most beautiful eyeshadow you've ever seen? It's so sparkly and multi-dimensional. There's a great shift to it, but also the glitters just have all different sorts of colors and textures. It looks so pretty on camera, but even prettier in person. So if you're interested in Terra, definitely check out my video on this. And also, if you guys have tried Terra, let me know down in the comments below if you guys have a favorite shade, because I've already started my next basket of their eyeshadows because they just released their Fall Equinox collection, which looks so beautiful. So expect some more Terra content in the future. Next up in the eyeshadow roundup, we have the Charlotte Tilbury Smoky Eyes Are Forever Holiday Palette. And so if you guys saw my first video on this palette, it was a total fail. So spoiler alert on that. I mean, definitely still check out that video if you want to see the full review. I have since then actually filmed another video with this palette doing 3 looks that are, I would say, a lot better than the 2 looks that I had in that first video. So definitely stay tuned for that video to see my overall verdict on this palette. Next up, let's talk about cheek products. So first off, I have the Bronzing Brick from Victoria Beckham in the shade 3. So this is a bronzer contour duo, and it's in this incredibly luxe packaging. If you want to see my very first time using this palette, then check out the Charlotte Tilbury Smoky Eyes Are Forever video. But I do have a forthcoming video that's focused on this palette and comparison swatches with all my bronzers. So definitely subscribe to be notified when that comes out. I do have this bronzer on today, and it has fast become one of my favorite bronzers. I really love how finely milled these powders are. They just sit so nicely on the skin and blend out so easily. Also, the pigmentation is really great for my skin tone. I find that I don't have to build it up a ton, but also I don't have to worry at all about going overboard. The only critique I have of this palette is it does run slightly warm for my preferences. Even the contour shade comes across on my skin more as a bronzer rather than a true contour, so I would have liked this to just be a little bit more cool toned. Overall though, I really love this formula and the packaging of this product. Next, we have two blushes. So first off, we have the Laura Mercier Blush Color Infusion in the shade Fresco. So recently I've been watching some of Charlotte Holdcroft's videos about her favorite blushes, and she always raves about Laura Mercier's formula. And so I decided I wanted to try it out for myself. And so I decided to pick up this shade because it reminded me of a lot of my favorite blush shades that have this sort of caramely rosy color to them. So just to show you guys what I mean, here I have the Laura Mercier swatched next to some of my other favorite blushes. So this is Alizane from Chanel, Desert Orchid from Pat McGrath, and Tropic Equinox from K.I.S.S.I.N.G. This one is a cream blush. So you can see these are all kind of in the same general color story, with Fresco just being a little bit more peachy in comparison to Alizane, which is the pinkest of this bunch. Desert Orchid having more of a smooth texture and not as much sparkle in comparison to Fresco. And then Tropic Equinox just being a little bit warmer than Fresco and also having a satin finish. So I have Fresco on my cheeks today, and I would say that I really love the base pigment and formula of this blush. So I think this is perfect on days when I want just a really natural flush. So something that is a little bit bronzy and a little bit flushed, but not like, you know, bright pink cheeks or bright peach or orange cheeks. Just something pretty natural. This blush really blends out super easily as well, so I think the overall effect is really pretty on the skin. The one thing though that I really don't like about this blush is it has these silver glittery particles in it. So you might be able to see this a little bit in camera when the light hits it. But the silver particles, when you first apply them, are pretty obvious, and on my warm skin tone are not flattering at all because they kind of create this silvery metallic effect. If you really buff in the blush into your skin, then a lot of the metallic particles will flake off your skin, so that part's good. But I feel like it still does leave a little bit of a silver sheen, which is, again, just not the most flattering on my skin tone. And so I'm on the fence about this blush. Love the base pigment, hate the sparkles. So I might keep this or I might exchange this for a matte shade. Next up in the blush category, we have the Patrick Ta Monochrome Moment Velvet Blush in the shade She's Adorable. So if you guys watched my blush rankings video, you know that I love this blush formula. It's actually my favorite matte blush formula. And so when I saw this guy on sale, I knew I had to pick up this additional shade. What's interesting though about this shade, She's Adorable, is that this one is actually a shimmer finish. So it's probably kind of hard to see in pan, but there is a slight golden shimmer to this shade. I've swatched it here next to the other two shades in this blush that I have. So this one is She's Passionate, so it's a matte pink shade. And this one's She's Seductive, which is a matte plum shade. So I really love all three of these. They are so beautiful on the skin. They're not blushes that necessarily swatch the best, but the moment you put them on the skin, they just really meld into the skin very nicely. They provide a slight blurring effect, which I find is just very flattering on the skin. And this one, even though it has some definite shimmer to it, is still pretty natural and subtle on the skin unless you build it up a lot. So I would definitely recommend this blush and also this blush formula. Next up, let's talk about lip products. So I picked up quite a few new lip products this month, starting out with this Huda Beauty cream lipstick in the shade Bosschick. So this is actually what I have on my lips today, and this is definitely one of the lipstick formulas I have loved the most this entire year. So I originally picked this up in the shade Moneymaker, and that is possibly my favorite nude lipstick of all time. It's just so beautiful if you want something that's sort of a medium toned lipstick for folks with medium to tan skin tones. And this formula is also just incredibly comfortable on the lips. I find when I use this, I don't need to put on any lip balm underneath, and I basically don't need to reapply unless I eat something and wipe it off with a napkin. Even though it's advertised as being a somewhat sheer lipstick, I find that even with one swipe, you can get pretty close to full opacity, and if you just add some additional swipes, then you can get true opacity. This formula also doesn't slip and slide. I find that often when you have a more nourishing and hydrating formula, it gets on your teeth, it kind of moves around over the day. You need to use a lip liner to kind of keep it in check. But this one by itself is perfect. It really doesn't need any fussing. And also, most importantly for me, I feel like Huda did an amazing job with the undertones for this collection, at least for folks like myself with a medium golden complexion. I find that it's really hard for me to get good nude lipsticks because oftentimes they run a little bit in the concealer lip territory, or they're a little bit too cool, and so they kind of make my entire face look really gray. These lipsticks though are incredibly flattering on me, and at least in the videos I've seen where other folks have tried this on, it looks like they work across a pretty wide variety of skin tones. So if you're like me and really struggle to find good nude lipsticks, then definitely consider trying out this range. And even if you're not looking for a nude lipstick, the formula is really amazing. Next up we have the Victoria Beckham Posh lipstick in the shade Spice. So this lipstick comes in a really weighty compact, very nice luxurious feel. I would say though this is a product that I'm kind of on the fence about. So I'll put a picture here of how it looks on me, but basically it's a little bit too light, I would say, for my skin tone, unless I either just apply a sheer layer so that some of my natural lip color is still peeking through, or unless I put on a lip liner. By itself, it does really veer into that concealer lip territory. The formula is overall quite sheer and hydrating, so I like it from that perspective. It does have a pretty strong fragrance though. It's kind of a very floral taste and fragrance, so definitely steer clear if you're not a fan of floral tastes. Overall, I would say I had very high expectations for this product, and it was fine. Like, the formula is fine, but not super impressive, and the shade is just not the most flattering for my skin tone. Next, we have two lipsticks from Charlotte Tilbury, Runway Royalty, which is in her Kissing formula, and Mrs. Kisses, which is in her Matte Revolution formula. So first, starting in Runway Royalty, if you want to see how this looks, definitely check out my Charlotte Tilbury Smoky Eyes Are Forever video, because that's where I just wear this by itself. Similar to the Spice lipstick though, I would say that this one is not the most flattering on my skin tone. It looked so beautiful when I saw videos of it on folks with lighter skin tones, but at least on me, it's basically the same depth as my skin tone, but a lot more pink. So it just kind of is similar to a concealer lip look, but weirdly pink. And so I definitely need to pair it with a lip liner whenever I use it. I do really like Charlotte Tilbury's Kissing formula though, so this is also a lipstick I'm kind of on the fence about. I think that it's great on days when I do want something that is more like a concealer look, but with a hint of cool pink. But the reality is those days are kind of few and far between. Mrs. Kisses, however, is a shade that is quite flattering on me, and I overall like this for any sort of slightly warm-toned looks or just a more romantic look. This is a warm-toned pinky red, so not the most unique color in my collection by any means, but definitely a solid addition. I also do enjoy the Matte Revolution formula. I prefer the Kissing formula, but I find that this works pretty well for me if I put a layer of lip balm underneath. So finally in the makeup category, we have brushes. And so this is the haul that I picked up from Rephr. They were recently having a huge sale on their website, 40% off for pretty much everything. So I figured I would pick up a lot of new goodies. So here we have the Rephr number 16, 15, and 14. 16 is the biggest and 14 is the smallest. So the Rephr number 16 really reminded me of the Wayne Goss number 16, which is one of my holy grail brushes. And the 14 reminded me of the Wayne Goss number 19, which is also one of my favorite brushes. So I wanted to try these out given just how affordable they were with the 40% off. Overall, I would say I like these brushes and I'm glad that they are new additions to my brush family. They do a pretty good job overall. They're not quite as good though as their Wayne Goss equivalents, so I don't think these will really be replacing those brushes anytime soon in my favorites category. These are though very good workhorse brushes, and for the price they are definitely worth it. If you're looking though at buying these full price, I would steer you more towards the Wayne Goss brushes because I do find, at least for me, they work a little bit better. They just do a little bit of a better job of providing a really clean blend. If you've tried the Wayne Goss brushes though and find them too fluffy, these are a little bit more stiff. I also got the Rephr number 21, which is a very thin brush for applying metallic shades. And I was actually inspired to buy this brush by Mel Thompson. This used to be one of her favorite brushes. She's someone who typically applies shimmers with a brush instead of a finger, and so I was really excited to try out this brush on her recommendation. And I've really enjoyed it so far. I would say for me it hasn't really replaced using a finger, but it definitely does a better job of picking up and depositing high shine metallics in comparison to my other brushes. And then the last brush is this tiny little liner brush. I picked this up because recently, especially since I've been using mixing liquid, I've really enjoyed turning some of my eyeshadows into eyeliner. So I wanted a more precise brush for doing that. And so far, I've really been enjoying this. It is really small, so it does take a while to build up a wing, but because it's so tiny, you can really get into that inner corner area and also just really define the precise edges around your liner. So the final category I want to talk about today is skincare. So many of you have been asking me about my skincare routine, and I'm honestly very flattered that you guys are interested. So I have actually filmed a video of my current skincare favorites. Not sure when exactly I'll get around to editing and uploading that video, but just wanted to let you guys know that's coming up. That video though really focuses on products that I really love and have repurchased. But most of the time I am trying out new products, and so I thought it might be helpful for me to incorporate in these monthly roundup videos the products that I've been loving recently. So first off, we have the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. And this is a product that really surprised me because normally I think of makeup and skincare as kind of separate and assume that most makeup brands probably don't have the best skincare and vice versa. But this one has actually been really amazing. As you can see, I'm almost done with this pretty large container. For a while, I was using this both as my day cream and my night cream. Now that it's running low though, it's just my day cream because I find this is a really excellent moisturizer to prime your face before makeup. It sits really nicely under makeup and just provides a really smooth, silky canvas. I have relatively dry skin, so I do find that I often need to put a serum under this or an oil on top, depending on if I'm wearing this in the daytime or the evening. But overall, this is a really nice, comforting emollient moisturizer that does a decent job of locking in the hydration. There is some fragrance to this formula, but I find that it's pretty light and kind of like a slight spa-like fragrance, so I don't find it to be problematic for my skin, even though I'm somewhat sensitive to fragrances. I originally got this product in an Ipsy Glam Bag X, but I think I will probably repurchase this at some point whenever there's a sale on this product. Next up, we have this little day cream from Payot. And as you can see, I've already completely used up this product, but I really enjoyed using this day cream. It was remarkably light for a day cream that still managed to moisturize my normal to dry skin. I used this while I was on vacation and my skin was kind of angry at me, but this did a good job of calming things down, moisturizing things, while not feeling heavy at all on the skin. And then finally, we have this Chanel Le Lift Serum. So this is a product with a ton of fragrance. So if you don't like fragrance in your skincare, definitely stay clear of this product. In general, Chanel does have a lot of fragrance. I've tried their face wash as well, and it was also heavily scented. I will say though, despite the fact that I usually do not like fragranced beauty products, I really have been loving this serum. So the serum just feels really nice on the skin. I find I can use it both in the morning and in the evening. It soaks in really nicely, sits well under moisturizer, sunscreen, and makeup. It doesn't pill up. It really just sinks right into the skin. And even though it has a lot of active ingredients in it, it doesn't irritate my skin at all. So I've actually been pretty impressed with this. I don't know if I'll actually go out and buy a full bottle because of course Chanel is quite pricey and I'm not a fan of the fragrance, but I was really impressed with this formulation. So that's it for today's video. I would love to hear what products you guys have been trying in the month of September, and in particular, if you guys have any favorites, please let me know down below. Thank you all so much for joining me today, and if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you all so much for the support, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!